Hi, everyone. I'm Donna DeFalco. I'm the president and CEO of the Health Enhancement Company, and it is my pleasure to be speaking to you at this year's Cardinals Connect Summit. It's a first. I'd like to tell you a little bit about HEC. We're a global high-touch engagement wellness company, and we help our clients rethink and rebrand their approach to employee well-being. In over 50 countries, we start conversations, and we help companies with company-wide mental fitness and functional movement campaigns. But for us, conversation is key. And to be honest, just listening to me as a speaker is definitely not going to cut it. So joining me in today's conversation is HEC's Director of Mindful Engagement. Good morning, Elena. Elena is going to give you a quick run through. We don't hear her, just in case, housekeeping. Take your unmute off, Elena. And Elena's going to give you a quick rundown on how we're going to work our presentation today.
Hi, Donna. Yes, my mute was on. And hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for the introduction, Donna, and for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I am the Director of Mindful Engagement for Health Enhancement Company. Basically, my job at HEC is to activate and engage participation in our global meditation and mindfulness programming. The way we're going to engage today is by using an interactive slide presentation. You may have already received this QR code when you registered, but here it is again. You can scan it with your mobile device and it will take you to the presentation where you'll see some questions and you can answer. All answers are anonymous, so don't worry. We really hope to see some of your thoughts and answers here. The other way to get to it is to type in the address that you see on top of the slide, ahaslides.com/HECwell. It's going to take you to the same place. So we'll give you a few minutes to scan the QR code and we'll just start with a friendly check-in just to make sure it works for everyone as well. And again, all answers are anonymous, so please feel free to really let us know honestly what's going on with you. With that, let's see. How are you feeling today? How are you, Donna?
I'm good. I'm really, I love happy to be alive. I agree with that one. We are all grateful to be here. Looks like everybody's doing really well.
I love that there's a lot of positivity on the
Yeah.
screen.
Tired but energized. I like that. I don't really think about that, right? So like we all sometimes feel tired. I never find them, two of them together. I'm feeling good. Just having, oh, you just were in yogatation with our Dewana. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was a great session for you. We were getting ready, so we're not as energized from that group. Happy to be here. We're so happy to have you here as well. It's so nice to see all these answers. And we're going to keep you going today. So it seems like you're with this exercise for everybody, and it looks like everybody's doing good. So let's move on. So I think this slide might resonate with everybody because during the dark days of 2020, we have muddled through day to day with humor, the haircut thing, Cloroxing everything in sight, and the endless jokes about not wearing pants on Zoom. I'm personally done with that group. But all the kidding aside, COVID-19 and the crisis that's ensued after this is the confinement has ramped up social stress on a global scale. And it is this stress and the ensuing mental muck that has been impacting your return to work strategies. Mental muck, what is that? Maybe some of you know, but I'm going to define that for us. It's a combination of the clogged mental buildup in our heads, but the abundance of negative adrenaline that we're using trying to push through day to day. It's a natural reaction, but instead of building resilience, it's breeding frustration and stagnation. And it is a major factor in why we're not all rushing to get back to the office. Yet we do need to move forward. I think we can all agree on that. For me, Elena, I think we're going to have another question here, and forgive me with the slides. I would love to know what's got other folks stuck in the muck. For me, to be honest with you, it's the thought of going back to that long daily commute. I live in New York City. I only live 2 miles away, but it takes me an hour to get there. And what I found during lockdown right now is I begin my workday a little bit earlier. and a little bit more focused and clear. And I feel like the hour or two that I spent in commuting, I've kind of given back to my work. So it's just getting back out there onto the train is a little bit something there. Figuring out childcare. I see some of these coming in.
Yeah, I really resonate with the first one, the fear of returning to work, because for me, I feel like it's become such one space, home and work, that now pulling them apart, it seems like a gigantic task. I have to find out new routines and how
Yeah.
everything works all over again.
We look at
Uh,
this answer here. I'm just sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, but it says, I'm afraid of losing routine I have in place now. It just got everything set. I get that one 100%.
yeah,
Yeah. No desire to return to commuting. Yes. And you're exercising more. That's great, right? So you took what seems like a negative and that you made that a positive. I really like that answer. Not that any of these answers are wrong, just some of them are helping me along here. Fear of the unknown, still with COVID and the variants. Yeah, the variants, they definitely are something out there that we all have to be aware of and needing to interact with our employees. I fully get all this fear. These are great answers coming in. I have this little box here that I'm not seeing everything.
yeah. And then the news of the changing guidelines all the time, that's a big one as well.
That
You
is
don't
a big one. Yeah.
can't keep up with those.
So we have a lot. I mean, guys, the thing here is that I think we can all agree we have got stuck during lockdown, but we have also figured out ways at this point to get out, right? And navigating has been hard. And for the first time, our personal and our workspaces have come together. And the challenge is right now is that the physical office space is taken out of the bigger picture. And so let's cue mental muck at the moment here and let's move forward here because I think we need to understand the HALT. And we're going to look at this acronym that I brought up maybe a little too early, but here it is, HALTS. HALTS is an acronym that's used in neurolinguistics, which is kind of a pseudo behavioral science area. But I think this really described pretty much what we've been talking about so far. Living through COVID has been living HALTS in its raw state. Hunger, anger, loneliness, tiredness, being sick, sickness, just sick of being sick. We've all been halted by these emotions, and it's had a damaging impact on our healthy actions and the responses to our life flow. However, just however, as negative as that might sound, we do have something that helps us through this. And that is called our worship. Our brains are amazing organs. They provide us with tools to get us through the worst of times. And this acronym, worships, is a great way to illustrate how our brains successfully battle the emotions that have halted us. We just have begun to repair those worships. We were just talking about it. That person just said, I just feel like I finally got a routine. Why? Because we're finding the willpower to move past COVID. We've begun analyzing and reasoning and creating new strategies on how to manage our day to day. We've learned how to focus and function in the present moment. And we've created new habits. And we've paid more attention to our impulses. And last but not least, and someone did mention this, we've chose programs and lifestyles that are supporting us, empowering our mental clarity, and most important, our self-care. So after this shipwreck of 2020, we rebuilt our warships and we set a whole new course in 2021. Guys, employees have accepted the challenge. They accepted the challenge that COVID presented to them, and they made it work at home and also for you and your companies. And it's just really scary right now, no matter where you are in the company, to return back to port because it's an unknown. There's an old saying that you can't walk 10 miles into a forest and get out in 5. But that's the one thing we've all been trying to do. We've been pushing the metal to the pedal, or pedal to the metal, I think you said that backwards, fast as we can. And I can understand why we want to go back to normal. I do. I don't know what it looks like, but I want some form of it. Thrive or survive has been this big catchphrase. It's like, it's just simple choice. But to just push forward personally or at work as a corporation is inevitably going to bring burnout. It's just not sustainable right now. I want you just for a moment, take a nice deep breath in and think of a garden. Close your eyes, the most lush garden that you can see, bountiful. And as we dream of this bountiful harvest to come, we know we can't actually force that growth. I wish I could, but I can't. It has to be nurtured, right? We have to plant the seeds and give it care and attention. And only then will we see the bountiful harvest. And it's the same right now for your employees and our companies. 79% of employers report an increase in requests for mental health support. 650 million is the number of mental health costs estimated in Europe. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans has had some type of mental health condition. And in 2019, spending on mental health and the services that we need has reached over 225 billion here in the US. And this number is expected to grow because over the last 10 years, mental health has increased by 52%. To grow, to strengthen, and to thrive, we must nurture balance in 3 crucial areas. I'm actually using an ergonomic component list here that I actually use when I'm teaching ergonomics, because I've been doing that for somewhat of over 40 years, working with clients right now, helping their employees get comfortable, because we're very comfortable addressing physical pain. We've gotten really good at that. And where we've encouraged conversations between our clients, and we encourage conversations between the employee and our clients. But the most important thing is we've listened to employees and their concerns. We had conversations around what was needed for them. We helped them adjust in their physical spaces. And then we trusted. Trust is a key word here. We trusted employees to continue to use the tools that we've offered them to thrive. So as we look at these 3 components in this ergonomic model, we have these 2 components, the physical and the environmental. But the linchpin here, which for me really should be in the middle, is the mental demands. It's the mental health of our employees. It's always been at the center, connected to, and actually it's the prime influencer over the other 2. And at HEC, this is the core of our consultation and programming. And I've noted right now that the companies that are gaining traction in our normal 2.0 were the ones that were putting mental health and fitness, front and center before the pandemic began. Now, that's not to say there isn't time to catch up, there is, but we are gonna have to use this time wisely. And the most effective way to do this, to foster mental fitness and balance, is a smoother return to work, is by offering flexibility. Elena, I'm thinking this might be a really great time to start to think about what flexibility will look like. And before I do that, I want to give everybody a little bit of space to be going here. As crazy as this little model that I'm going to say is this whole process has been like a preschooler. Preschoolers that are going back to school for the first time, they are so nervous. They've never left home before. It's scary. It's intimidating that first day. But we know once we've gotten that preschooler settled, it's not as nearly as bad as they thought, or me as the parent who sent them, right? And each time you go, it becomes a little more familiar and a little bit more fun, right? We make friends, and then you're learning new things. And now you're establishing a new routine. And by the time you're ready to graduate, school is as much of a safe haven as your home. And that approach is really what we need to take with our employees right now. If you accelerate too fast, or you pick from your garden too soon, the progress that you've moved ahead has come to a screeching halt. Your employees are coming back to you in very different situations right now. They're going to assimilate into company culture, and you must trust that they will. Going back to that pre-K, and teacher I know, everybody's going to learn to read, guys. So, what's flexibility look like to people? Elena, what do you think?
I think that the thought of going back to the office is a little scary. And I think it's because it's unknown. We didn't take a vacation and come back to exactly things the way they were, right? So I think it's gonna need to take time to figure out what we need. And I think options are really important uh, in this case, because we need to be able to choose how do we do it, and maybe change our mind sometimes. So I think it's not going to be a one size fit all type of thing.
Right, I agree. I mean, flexibility for me is actually has become exactly what I'm doing. I get to make choices, being in control of my time. I mean, having control over something in life right now, we haven't, because we haven't had any, is a big one. Really
I think
hoping for hybrid situation to have some autonomy. I'm thinking autonomy, change, the
control.
ability, a little bit more time to relax, well-being, hybrid offices. Wow, we have so many answers here. And you know what, guys? It is these answers that's important, because we are all going to be giving something different. And so that is why moving back to this traditional model of the CEO at the top and the workforce at the bottom is not going to work, right? Because right now, you, that middle workforce, you have really been the group that has been thrown off out of alignment the most, right? That and because of that, there's instability in this traditional model, because you, all of us that have been the backbones of the companies, and thank you to my folks that have been, your priorities in life are being reconsidered right now. And so instead of just being the backbone, you're the most fluid. And because of that, this model has to flip. And as we flip the model and we look at this flip model geometrically, it is not stable, that's for sure, right? And I completely understand as a business owner wanting to go back, but having my workforce dictate how we're going to work forward doesn't work. And as a CEO, I can't work from the bottom up. So at HEC, we have figured this out. In order to thrive, we have to begin on equal and open and honest communication about what workers are going to need moving forward. So it is not a one size all fits all solution. And I think everybody understands that, but it is time to start a conversation. And I don't know that everybody knows how to do that. So at HEC, we've worked successfully with our clients around the world. How do we do that? We research data points to find out vital information about their work habits. We diagnose where the stresses and the challenges are in the workplace. We figure out where relief and programming and what adjustments need to be made. And then we strategize and we customize. But all the statistics in the world and all that work really is not as effective as us just going up to an employee and asking, what is it that you need today? Our work spans many corporations. We have worked with the New York City Transit Authority, and we're very proud of the fact that we actually got union and corporate at the same table. And at that table, we were able to really create impactful engagement for the employees. And only it was tangible because they spoke. And we work with Warner Media across the world. And here we help build messaging and wellness campaigns around shared mindfulness and physical spaces and health-oriented goals. But that was by bringing employees' voices along with their global HR groups. Conversation is the catalyst and the key. And so how do we get there? We get them to talk. Whether your company is 10 or 10,000, at HEC, we found the best way to get those questions out is a simple roundtable, or if not that, a really good survey. To be truly effective, remember, what we say to others is a lot less important than what we empower them to say to us. Just your questions gave us insight into you today. These questions that I think you need to ask are the questions need to be are fluid, right? Because employees are fluid right now. But this is the challenge that you need to accept as a company right now. You need to be able to ask the questions, and in my opinion, these four will get that conversation started. And why? Because if you ask someone how things have been harder for them during COVID, you are going to gain insight into areas of the life that challenged your employee and provide you with the empathy and understanding to move them forward. Then to ask them how things got easier, I think some of us are like, well, how could things have gotten easier? But basically, the answer to this question is going to allow you to see those areas where they've been efficient and self-sufficient. working from home? This is my favorite question. What things are not work related that you are most proud of in the last year? These questions might give you surprise answers because they're going to provide insight into your employees' priorities that you were not only in competition with for space and time, but that you must work in concert with to gain trust again, from your employees to return. And how important or relevant is work socialization for you? This probably is the most important question that you're going to try to get an answer to, because this is how you're going to get your folks back to work. They are at their clearest right now as to whether in-person is best for them. They no longer require you to tell them what is best for them. So knowing their enthusiasm level is going to give you a compass whether deciding what course will be the most effective for them, for productivity and morale. Pre-pandemic, team building was a company's goal for building in-house culture. Post-pandemic, personal care building is what you need to start to focus on. And once you start to build a personal care culture, team building culture will naturally come. And from there, we will naturally flow into an in-office culture, whatever that may look like. There is no right or wrong answer here, but always remember this: acceptance. You are not judging people's answers. So every company has different terms. And now we need to make space for employees, a circle of effective communication. What we do is help employees on their personal care journeys. And because of that, and those personal care journeys are around mindfulness and functional movement. And like all conferences, you usually get a swag bag, but we can only give you a little bit of virtual swag. You get to have Elena. So Elena, if you wouldn't mind jumping back in and bringing our audience back to a personal care moment. And then after that, folks, please do come back. We do have question and answers, and we value your time today, and we do want to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. If we can move on to the next slide.
Thank
Please.
you.
Hi again, everyone. Just a little bit about me before I pull you into a little bit of experience. I am a mindfulness and meditation and a yoga instructor, and I've been working with HEC for the past 5 years, developing and curating the content for all the meditation and mindfulness programs, which have been offered in 26 countries, not 26 languages, but in 52 countries. So now if you join me, we'll do very quick, under 3 minutes. We'll change your perspective and become a little more flexible and mobile. So sit back to begin with, move away from the screen as much as you can, and make sure you have space. You're going to extend your arms forward just to make sure that you have more than an arm's length between you and your screen. And then you're going to bring your hands out to the sides, but to a place where you can actually see your fingertips. So go ahead and wiggle your fingertips when you stretch them out. You're engaging your peripheral vision, which is not something you use when you're staring at us on Zoom. So just make sure that you wiggle the fingers and you can see them. And right away, that engages different areas in your brain. And then you're going to take those same fingers and bring them behind your head, interlace them, and lean your head back, opening up the chest, maybe arching the low back if that feels okay. Don't do anything that strains or that hurts. Just take a nice big full breath in here and fill up the belly, the lungs. It should feel pretty good. And at the same time, feel your feet on the floor. Feel your weight on the chair. And as you exhale, you're going to slightly curve your spine, bring the chin towards the chest, and let the elbows fall down towards your legs. We'll invite a big breath here between the shoulder blades to open up a little bit more space along the spine. Maybe let out a sigh. Let the jaw and the face relax. If your eyes want to close, let them close. Now slowly come back up to vertical and bring your hands in front of you. Just rub them together really quickly, creating a little bit of heat and bringing sensation into your body. Still feeling your feet on the floor. And as you separate the hands, you're going to place them on the opposite shoulders. So you're bringing this heat you've created back to your body. Notice how that feels. Take a big deep breath. And on the exhale, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Let your shoulders drop down, the weight come down into the chair, just like you're giving yourself a hug. And if it's okay to close your eyes, if it feels safe, do that. And then we'll switch to the opposite side, come through center and bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Again, think of dropping the weight that you're carrying on your shoulders. And let the belly relax so you can expand into a big breath. And with the exhale, release the hands down to your legs or to the sides of the chair. You can close your eyes if it feels okay for you and just be here for a moment. Beginning this conversation with your body. And before you come back to us, ask yourself, what do you need right now? Definitely take your time coming out of this. I know it might be a really good place where you want to stay, but we do have some time left for questions and answers, or if you want to share any of your experience. Thank you. You're muted, Donna.
I think you knew I said thank you, right? That was really wonderful. As I went through this, you're more than welcome. I'm glad that you participated. I have a question for you, Elaine. I just was coming through because I was sitting there and I said, ask what I needed. And I thought, oh, I feel calm. And I feel like that's what I need for the rest of the day now is calm. Thank you. I'm glad you did enjoy that. So I don't know, do you have a question for our audience while we're waiting for them to come up with any? I would like, through our talk right now, any of those 4 questions that we posed, any of those resonate well with you? Or something you think that might work for you?
I think that
I'd be available. That's a tech question for Stephen, and he's here, and I have a feeling, yes, I think everything's videoed, so I think you will have opportunity to do that.
I really like that third question you posed about what are you most proud of? Because I really feel like this whole ordeal has brought us to a more personal level. To even at work, we've begun to see everyone as a human being first more than anything else, and I think that's where the conversation should start. Like, what do you need as a human being more than as an employee?
Yeah.
Um, I think that's the part of the new normal, hopefully.
We have a couple of questions here. What's the hardest part of getting the conversation started? Sometimes moving things upward hits the roadblock. You don't always have to start at the top. Let's start there. If you picture a circle in, King Arthur's court, if he wasn't there, his knights were there. You guys are the backbones of the company. Start the conversation with all of you, and then you move it forward. You can work your way up through middle management and up.
I think it's also listening. Like, when you ask that simple question, what do you need? It's really hearing what the other person, sometimes maybe even reading between the lines, but really focusing on that, because when you start listening.
Elena, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm going to take one last question because then we have to end it up, but I do like this question. It says, when you're having a bad day and you can feel yourself getting stressed, what tip would you give to ground yourself? Could you just offer maybe one little mobile tool for them to move away with today?
I say breathe. Whatever you do, you just take a pause and breathe. That's always, and start that conversation with yourself. When
I like that. Right.
It's simple and can go very deep.
So my favorite mobile tool, and I'm going to do this because we're going to stop today, is stop, take a deep breath, observe what's in front of you, and then proceed. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.